Good evening and welcome to Success in the City. My name's Helen Webster. I'm with the lovely
Sandra Scott, and our guest today is the very interesting
Vic Rodgers.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Vic. And as you can see, we are on location, not just any location though. So as Sandra and I walked in, we had to sign our lives away. We're not allowed to say anything, not allowed to speak. We weren't allowed to look. We had to look at the floor as we walked in. Dead exciting, and we'll find out why it's so exciting in a bit, won't we?
Indeed. And you've been given a hat already.
And I've been given a hat as well, which is really good because my hair is all sticking out, so that's even better. So thank you, Vic.
You wear it well.
Thank you.
Thank you. And they've given us all manner of donuts and treats, and we're on diet, so we're fuming.
So we're on sparkling water, although there is a feast over on the table over there.
There is.
So as we go on, shout out to the kids, any little people who've done amazing things this week. San,
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to give a shout. They're not that little, really, 14 and 15. I'm going to give a shout out to Artem and Stas, who had to come over from Ukraine on their own on a coach. I know. And the families came separately, and I've been working with them through the Big Help project and teaching them English super fast on a voluntary basis. Do 2 sessions of an hour and a half each week, and they are hammering it, trying to get ready for school and college for September, and we are hammering it, and they study at home. They're just amazing, really lovely young people.
Well done
so
to them.
There we go.
Well done. Vic, any little people that you want to shout out to?
I'm similar in terms of it not being such little people, but I was lucky enough to be at Anfield the other day doing a big job fair.
Oh yeah.
And to see those 15, 16-year-olds who are coming out of school and trying to then get to the point where they've got a job, and I'm just thinking about that transition is massive.
Yeah.
But bless them, dressed up to the nines.
Lovely.
Look you in the eye, ask you whether or not they could come and be a games tester. I was like, big shout out to them. It's a big, brave world, and they've been big and brave and got out there. So,
But we'll say more about the games tester thing because it's a dream job for a lot of people. But we'll be talking about that after, won't we?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well done. I'm going to shout out to every little person who's off school. And there's loads of holiday clubs, and kids are going to all these holiday clubs, and they're going on adventures. And
school's out
for the summer. Yeah, and the adventures that they're going on is unbelievable. And they're all getting fed, which is part of why they're doing it, is to get, they have breakfast, they have snacks, they have lunch, but they do dead cool stuff as well. So well done to all the little people not staying in bed.
Brilliant.
Success for you personally this week, something personal that's happened to you that's been a massive success.
Don't go with me, Vic. Let me have a think. Yeah.
You're saying like massive.
Yeah.
Okay.
It could be that
it could be very little.
Got a new lippy or anything.
Very little.
Yeah.
All right. On a personal level, I managed to find a little Roman brooch because I go metal detector at the weekend. So that was like a little woohoo moment. And on a work level, in the last few days, we've managed to welcome another 37 people here, which is awesome.
Oh, that's fantastic. Hang on a minute. Where did you go? Where'd you go metal detecting?
So I live in Derbyshire in the Peak District. And I got into metal detecting last October. So I go out, beep, 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 beep.
A Roman
What's
brooch.
the best thing that you found?
A Roman brooch.
It was actually...
That's cool, but I bet you found something else.
It was a Roman buckle, I think, was great. And I was lucky enough to be with my dad a few weeks ago when he found a coin from 1175 as well, a silver little coin, and that was pretty cool.
That's unbelievable. What do you do? Map out a patch of land and think we'll go there. This is where there was a battle.
Knock on the door of the farmer, say, can I come and do some metal detecting, and hope that they say yes. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And is it like finders keepers?
You have to go into an agreement that says if it's of any value, you'll split it 50-50. And then if it's over 300 years old and actually made of precious metal, you have to report it as well.
And then can you keep it?
Sometimes it's classed as treasure and they may want to. So there's something else I found that a museum's quite interested in. But I won't
Hello,
talk too much about
Sotheby's.
that.
God, we're just like
bees.
But from that kind of thing to the ridiculous, from the sublime to the ridiculous, I equally found a little button. And when I researched about it, it was a gorgeous chap. And he was around in the 1700s and he set up a shop in Sheffield.
What the hell's going on in Derbyshire? That's just
so you could read all about this guy and this great big shop that he ran in Sheffield, all these buttons, and that he was famous for falling asleep while he was selling buttons, all from this little tiny button. And
he might have been a narcoleptic.
Exactly.
He might be, but it wasn't. He was just sleepy.
He's the chap that sells buttons and falls asleep. That's what he was known as. So, yeah.
I used to live in Sheffield.
What did you find a button?
I never found a button, no.
Did you have a metal detector?
No.
Lots of drunk people.
Fosters and Sons of Sheffield.
That's
Great big
incredible.
buildings
How
in
interesting.
Sheffield.
How cool is that? So cool.
That's what success have you had this week? I'll let you go now.
Yeah, no, so I didn't find anything of immense value or historical interest. I had an absolutely brilliant success because I joined the Battler and went to
Yes.
the Battler course for newbies, and they were so kind and very patient with me, and the course was great. And then I was struggling a little bit to attend all the rehearsals, and then my elbow decided to grow a jellyfish on the end, and I ended up in the walking centre from the drumming, whatever, and it took 5 weeks to calm down. So I missed all those rehearsals, so I didn't feel able to join the parade. Anyway, the people are so kind, and they messaged me and they said, look, there's a lady who's quite poorly, but she really wants to partake. She's in a wheelchair. Would you be able to push it? So I said 100%. So I was able to join this parade, and I can't tell you how brilliant it was, the Basilica. And we started off by Abercrombie Square, went along by the cathedral, down here, Hardman Street, Lacey Street, into Bold Street, all the way down Church Street, and then to Williamson Square. And it was like 2 hours nearly. It was the most enjoyable thing. But even though I had earplugs, I literally had tinnitus for 2 days. My son said, I think you've done permanent hearing damage. It was absolutely brilliant. I just love it. And there were like over 70.
Yeah, I've seen the videos and the photographs.
It was one of the,
cool.
Yeah, but they're all so high energy, a lot of the people who do it, because they went on and there was like an after party and everything. And loads of them were drumming on the stage at 1 o'clock in the morning and everything. So I was just so happy. So that was a big, that was on my bucket list, that. So I'm made up, I've done that. Yeah, really cool.
So I haven't really thought about, because I was that excited coming to sign an NDA. I haven't really done any prep for the show, which is not good.
That's all right.
I'm trying to think of what's happened this week to me. I think going to the gym and getting myself back on track, I think, is my massive success.
Brilliant.
So being prepped and ready and investing in myself and taking that leap to start me cleansing.
Fantastic.
Again. So good. So that's probably my success.
Yeah, but sometimes you have great successes, and I say I made a good curry, so win-win.
Right, I made an amazing salad with no mayo yesterday.
I think your success is brilliant.
I think yours is the best. I think that's the best success we've ever had.
That's quite a big one. Yeah. Fantastic.
Okay, now we play this or that. So Sandra will ask me and Vic. I will ask Vic and Sandra. Are you going first or am I going first?
I'll go first if you like. Okay, is that all right?
So you like
board game or game console? Oh, I forgot. Sorry. Board game or game console? That's different from yours.
There's only one answer.
Go on.
So it has to be a game console, doesn't it?
Okay. So a lot of not everyone knows what you do here yet, so we're going to find out in a minute. But okay.
Good question.
Board game for me.
Okay.
What about you?
Well, it's board games for me, but for one reason alone. If I play games,
buy them in 500 languages.
No, I'm addicted to them straight away. So I can't play those games. So, for example, in the late 90s, in mid 90s, I was poorly one time, and someone lent us a games thing, whatever it was, and I played a game. I think it was Sonic the Hedgehog for 8 hours and all day when I was off work, and I thought, right, I've got an issue there. So if I do anything like that, so I don't put games on my phone or anything, because I'm just addicted to them straight away.
I remember doing that with Harry Potter and going to bed and sleeping, and Harry Potter things were flying all over my head. I was just like, couldn't switch off.
But when you play Scrabble, that doesn't happen. You're not sat there 8 hours later.
Yeah.
So your board game of choice is?
So we can't. So my question, which Sandra had a peep on before, but that's okay. Monopoly or Cluedo, Vic?
I actually quite like Cluedo because of the characters. Yeah, Monopoly is a lot of money.
Yeah. What about you, Sam?
Monopoly, because Cluedo takes 4 minutes. It's so frustrating. You just think, why is someone bought that? It's for an 8-year-old. It's just really, you're just dead easy to box off. I don't understand it, who they made it.
You have to be like a CSI to play it.
It's dead easy. I remember playing it as a kid and thinking, why, really? It's dead easy.
Maybe you haven't played it properly.
She was cheating.
It's easy. There's just a process.
So you have to put the cards in the wallet.
It's dead easy. Yeah, Monopoly.
The plum with the candlestick.
Monopoly.
Yeah. Monopoly. So I used to cheat at Monopoly.
Like I bet you did.
And I used to get like hundreds and put them under my chair and pretend I'd saved them for a rainy day. And then our Stuart, my brother, used to like go, and then he'd be like somewhere, and he'd say, you've only got like £2. And I go, save this for a rainy day. And I was like, what? And he never got on to us.
Barbara, Was Helen disciplined as a child?
She was stashing the cash.
Yeah, me and my cousin used to stash the cash. Yeah. No,
No.
Stuart just didn't have a clue. Never mind. No, I'd go Cluedo. I used to love Cluedo, and I'd like to play real life Cluedo.
Dude.
Without a real victim.
Obviously. Well, yeah.
Without a
Yes,
real
please.
victim.
Yeah. Go on, Sam. Number 2.
Okay. Donuts or cookies?
Just off camera, there's loads of donuts and cookies. And so tonight I have eaten cookies, and I think I always will.
I think for me it would be custard donuts.
That's very
That's
specific.
very specific, yeah. Okay, so I'd quite say donuts, but I'd say biscuits, but there is a company, and they're in England now, called Tim Hortons. Tim Hortons are a Canadian company who make the best donuts in the world. Tim Hortons donuts
Are you
are
after a
fantastic.
freebie?
Yeah, no, I can't eat them.
Gluten-free, please.
Yeah,
Can you send them to us?
I'm gluten-free, so I don't even eat them. But I absolutely used to love them as a kid. Oh, the best.
But are they really, or
And
are they
hot
like
chocolate.
memories? Of?
No, they had them down in London,
okay.
and I went, oh, they're just gorgeous.
Not
Tim
amazing.
Hortons, folks. We've
Tim
heard
Hortons,
it.
yeah.
No, there are other donut people.
Not just Greg's,
There are,
like, you know.
yeah, there's other. Oh dear God, no. There are other donut manufacturers in the world, obviously. So there we
Okay.
go.
Men in Black or Top Gun?
We were just talking about Men in Black. Gosh, you really tore me there. So here's the story. I went under the Mersey the other day, through the tunnel, and I was saying to someone, I've just had my Men in Black moment because I went through a tunnel, and then realised it was made in 1997, and no one knew what I was talking about. So I'm going to put that in that box there, because number one has to be Top Gun. I was very lucky that as a kid I applied for a competition, and I won a VHS copy of Top Gun. And that was like a proper movie, a proper VHS thing.
Yeah.
And it was played and played.
Did you
played
wear it
and
out?
played. Yeah, completely.
Yeah.
So Top Gun is like up there.
Have you seen the new one?
Not yet.
It's amazing. I cried 4 times.
I'd like to see it, yeah.
I cried 4 times. It's amazing.
Okay.
Right.
Top Gun for me, 100%. Tom Cruise, not so keen now, but was when I was young,
Okay.
obsessed when I was young, and aircraft. And he says, I feel the need for speed, which is the ultimate movie.
And he
line.
says it again.
Yeah.
And I was like, Wah!
Exactly. You weirdo. Yeah, so Top Gun, definitely.
Yeah, I'm going to go Top Gun. I think like the Man in Black series, really. Yeah. So Top Gun wins hands down. Go on,
Yeah.
Sam.
Okay, so when we were talking the other day, you travel a bit in your job. So here we go. Here's a loaded question. Merseyside or Bedfordshire, because you're between the two.
You're not allowed.
Why?
You're not allowed. That's like, what's your favourite child? So we have 2 studios, one in Bedfordshire, one here in the middle of Liverpool, and they are both super great. And I don't live in either, so I get to be a
Does
visitor.
Bedfordshire have a UNESCO World Heritage Site or City of Music and an amazing waterfront?
It has a golf course and fountains and other glorious things. So yes.
When I did my training initially with Monarch Airlines, Monarch's base was in Luton, and we had to go in the swimming pool and go on an inflatable raft. And I can say this now because I'm such a bad swimmer. So you had to be able to swim 2 lengths, which clearly I can't do.
Was that some team building thing?
Yeah.
No,
It's
if you
your
rescue
training.
people, if
It's
you-
your
Oh, so-
training.
God,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
In
Planes
case
down,
of an
planes down.
emergency ditching. In Japan, an aircraft ditched into water, everyone survived because they were all like that and impeccable. So then our government said, well, you can do that too, as if everyone like that. So we had to go, and they had hoses on you and everything. So I jumped in and inflated my life jacket. You were meant to inflate it when you jumped in. Well, clearly I did it, and I thought, well, if I get sacked, I get sacked. I was only on the course. So I jumped in, and off I went. So I'm sure all the cabin crew now all over the world can swim properly, and no one else would ever think to do this. And I jumped in the pool and everything. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. Do you want me to do it again? They went, no, it's all right, Sandra. And that was it. Ka-ching, ka-ching. Here's my little job.
right.
Yeah,
Well
there
done.
we go.
I forgot what the question was.
She was
I
getting
said
mixed up.
Bedfordshire
Liverpool or
Merseyside.
Bedfordshire? Yeah, Merseyside.
Yeah,
for
my
me.
answer's Merseyside.
Yeah,
for that.
That's good.
Yeah,
I've
but
only
that's
been
all
to
right. Okay,
Bedfordshire
I'm
once.
not going to give you a tricky one. A hovercraft or a parachute?
I think it was an easy
How does
one.
your brain work? Wow.
Who
Okay.
No, it's more organised than mine.
It's going to be a parachute because you're going to get a really different perspective and probably have a little bit more adrenaline buzzing at the point where you're jumping out of an airplane.
I'd love to jump out of a plane, but my left leg wouldn't let me.
Yeah.
What, it just stay in the plane?
It would just be like, no,
Don't move.
Okay.
wouldn't, yeah.
So for me, I always wanted to wing walk, you know, on the air. That was
see you
what
doing that.
when I was
I can
young.
see
I
you
don't
doing that in
now.
a black and white movie.
When I was young, yeah, because I'm that old. Yeah, when I was young, and loads of the girls did used to wing walk, but there's like certain height restrictions and things on a certain aircraft. Yeah, so I always wanted to do that. And then I aged, and now I don't wish to do any such thing. But hovercraft, I've been on hovercraft.
Would you like to go on them little tiny ones? I think.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah. Oh,
With a like,
with a
yeah.
life
I've
jacket.
been water skiing, believe it or not, and everything. Yeah, when I was young, I was quite adventurous and stuff like that, and it was sort of came later in life, all the ridiculous phobias.
Well, you're off that now.
Yeah,
I'd
that was great.
I'd love to do a parachute jump.
No.
Which I think would be ace, but I'm terrified of heights, so I might do it to challenge myself.
And have a breakdown.
Yeah, I might just do that. That could be my challenge for next year. But yeah, hovercraft, one of them little tiny ones. Okay, so we've spoke for ages now, and now we need to introduce Vic, and I'm just going to flip this to comments so that we can read anything that people pop on. Apologies. Okay. Yeah. So Vic works for Universally Speaking.
You said it on the
Where
wall.
we are.
Says it on the wall.
Yeah.
We're live on location. Sandra and I
In
had
the
to
bunker.
sign an NDA, didn't we? We had to follow the grey road.
Yeah, we weren't allowed to look left or right.
And I'm going to let Sandra introduce Vic.
Okay, so our fabulous and really interesting guest today is Vic Rodgers from Universally Speaking. And Vic's got a really interesting job, and she's charged with all manner of exciting things that we're going to talk about throughout the programme. And also, as we move on, you've got a lot of job opportunities in the area, but we'll speak about those shortly. So welcome to the show, Vic, and we'd love to hear about your journey, what you do here and how you came to be here.
Excellent. So thank you for having me. It's fab and it's fun, and we're sat in the dark a little bit, which
that's all right.
Secret squirrel. So in terms of what I do, the first thing most people notice is they go, "Oh, you've got Pac-Man around your neck."
No, I did that as soon as I clocked that when I walked in.
Right.
And so that's my in to say that actually then I work in the video game sector. And then I have to qualify and go, but I don't make video games. What I do is I'm lucky enough to be the chief people officer, which means that I find people that will then come work for Universally Speaking.
Yeah.
And what we do as a business is we do the testing of video games before they're released. And we also do what's called the localization of games. So perhaps a game is being developed over in the Far East and they're trying to market it around the world. And so our job is to make sure that it is being translated into the right language.
Yeah.
But also that we're checking that as you play it, it's culturally relevant as well, and that things make sense in different parts of the world. So we will test a game, and often there are things in the initial stages of games that need to be fixed.
Yeah.
And that's called finding bugs. And so we find the bugs, and then we write down what the bug is that we found. Let's say a character stops moving as the car goes by. So we'll say the character stops moving, and then some clever people recode it, and then hopefully the bug disappears.
So this must be like the dream job in the world for so many people to work here, isn't it? It's like a job you get a lot of young people go, I want to be a games tester, I want to work on games, and you think, oh well, that's not going to happen, but actually it is happening, isn't it? And because it's in Liverpool as well.
Exactly, and it's happening at scale. I think that's what's important as well. So for some people, they will think and fantasize about creating their own games. And that's a marvelous thing. And there are really creative individuals who have stories in their head.
Yeah.
You've also got real techie people who can actually do the coding and create the game, make it appear on the screen. And then for some people, just being, as you say, being able to just play games and play games that nobody else on the planet has seen yet, and being able to then say, I helped fix that game.
Yeah.
Or, as I think I was telling you, we've got people here with multiple languages who say that as a kid back in Brazil, they'd play a game and the game didn't make sense to them.
Yeah.
And so when they arrive here in the Liverpool studio and you say, why are you working here? They're saying, because I want the kids back in Brazil to be able to access the game and make it make sense to them. And I think that's a huge thing when you talk about
amazing.
It's not just, I like playing games. It's like, I actually want to make it accessible to people. I think that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So when there's a bug in the game,
Yes.
and our techie people, they find it, is that changed here, or does it go back to the developers, or the...
actual job. It's not what you know we're talking about. Exactly that. So then we write in real, clear, crisp English exactly what has gone wrong, what happened, where did it happen, to what character, and you're absolutely right. That then gets sent off to the client, and that client could be somewhere else on the planet. Hence, it's got to be clear, simple sentences, because then their developers, their coders are going to try and fix it. And then it comes back to us.
And you're not allowed to tell us who your clients are you? We've got to keep all of that top
secret squirrel stuff.
I know. Well, we don't even know, but I think
so. We don't know what the games are.
Yeah.
We don't know who makes them. We don't know anything. We just know it's dead cool.
But we do know that they are some of the biggest titles on the planet, and that we're very lucky to have multiple projects here. And as well as the big, what we call AAA games, the big games, you've also got independent mobile games as well. So there's a real range and spread. And I think that's what excites people working here, is it's not like you're just coming to do one title. You'll actually get to see different projects and different sorts of games.
When did you arrive in Liverpool?
We've both got loads of questions for you. Go on.
When did you arrive in Liverpool? Not you personally. You talk about you personally, or when did university speak?
Yes. Okay. So in terms of that paint still drying, this building opened 10 weeks ago. And so we opened up the studio in Liverpool 10 weeks ago. University Speaking has been going for 16 years in Bedfordshire. I'm not saying which is my favourite child. With the golf course and the fountain. Yes, exactly.
No live buildings.
No. I'll let you have that. And so in terms of that success story of University Speaking, it's done tremendously well in a single site. Coming to Liverpool, though, was really important with regards to the games pedigree and heritage that the city has. You've also got a very multicultural city. So we've got,
which we love.
The sort of native speaking languages that we need, because we do work in 32 different languages.
Wow.
And so being able to come here and get the games passion, the multicultural aspect, and also I think there's just at scale a lot of, forgive me, but young people looking for that first job.
100%.
And they're not always clear what they want to do in life.
And they're given a chance as well.
And if they go, actually, I quite like playing games, I'd rather just do that all day. It's like, well, play games and get paid to do it.
And we do get a lot of people who come here to study, actually. They might go to university and do a degree in English, and they're from another country, you know, that's quite popular and things. And then they might stay here or whatever. Or they've come in, they've been here a while, they came, they liked it, and they've remained here. We've got people like that, you know.
Your statistics absolutely show that. So when we were deciding which location, we analysed different cities. And one of the big metrics is, do people not just come here, but do they then, as in come here to study, but do they stay here?
Actually,
and this city keeps people, which is a good thing.
Can we ask what other cities we were up against?
No. But you can have a little guess.
More people
We're more cool.
Stay here after uni than any other city in the country. That's fact. It's very well known for that. And it's nice, isn't it? They like the vibe, they like how it is and everything. So that's really cool. And it doesn't matter who was up against us, because we won, just like we're going to win for the Eurovision Song Contest as well. Fingers and toes crossed.
So
Eurovision is like Sandra's, like,
it's like Christmas.
Okay.
Like more than Christmas.
I'll have to do a bit of study.
It's unbelievable.
I'm more Bucks Fizz. I think that's the thing
I love Bucks Fizz.
So you've got a lot of vacancies at the minute, haven't you, that you'd like to fill for games testers? But there's some criteria, isn't there? So you have had some people who just speak English who work here. And are those vacancies all filled at the moment?
No, we have a great big shopping list. And I always then, because we go to a lot of job fairs and meetings, and in terms of what we need one, people that are passionate about games. I love the fact that you said that you stopped playing Sonic the Hedgehog because you found yourself playing for 8 games. 8 hours, because one of the first things I ask people is, how long do you spend playing a game? And then we get into the realm of, and is that an unhealthy amount? Because this passion for games means you really do get quite good. And if you're really good, it means you're probably going to be a good tester. So one, qualification. Do you love games, and do you play them probably an unhealthily large amount? Number one is the criteria. Number two, can you spot when things are wrong? So have you got attention to detail?
Okay.
And then number three, can you write a clean, simple sentence to explain what's gone wrong? So I don't need War and Peace. I don't need to be Bill Shakespeare. You can just write a simple sentence, and we even teach people how to write clear, simple sentences.
In English.
So these are the English-speaking games testers, what we call functional testing, functional quality assurance, FQA. So they are just testing games and doing the bugs. That's a big group of jobs that we've still got available.
Is there an age range for people to be able to work here, or?
At the moment, I need them to be 18 and above,
Okay.
and I've got a full spread of ages out there, which is
Which is
in
cool.
terms of they're representing the end users, aren't they?
Of course,
That's what's important. So one strand is that English-speaking games tester, no previous experience, passion for games.
Oh, imagine
attention
that
to
as a
detail,
job. How
and
made
writing
up would you be for a young person to have that in Liverpool? You'd be delighted.
And as somebody who's responsible for bringing those people in, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
For some people, it truly is that they've never been able to find where they fit in life.
Yeah, they don't like the job, maybe.
Yeah,
you know,
quite a lot of gamers, because the game, they spend on headsets and they spend, some of them are quite isolated. Whereas here, they're still playing the game, but then they've got that community, haven't they? And they all understand each other and they all understand the language of how techie people speak to each other in games.
It is a bit of a tribe. It's definitely a community. And again, just acknowledging, like you say, different types. A lot of people who are very introverted, a lot of people who might be on the spectrum. And I always say we're all on a spectrum, and some of us have a super strength. But actually, when they come and do something that they're passionate about, they just feel at ease and they're able to contribute.
And usually excel in that area as well. Okay.
So that's one strand of my jobs, and I've got lots of those. And then the other one are the people that are going to come and do that localization piece.
Yeah.
So they're going to be able to play the game, but also then to check that actually it's been translated correctly. And also, like we said, are there culturally sensitive things that we need to think about as we market it into a different territory?
Of course.
So would they be playing the game in their own language, or is it? And then
we see whether or not things make sense, or sometimes they might be given it in the English version, and then their job is to make sure that it's translated into the native speaking, whether that be Spanish, Croatian, Thai, etc.
Okay, so you're looking for an awful lot of different languages at the moment, is that right?
Yeah, so we often talk about the FIGs, French, Italian, German, Spanish, and at the moment, this afternoon, I've been trying to find Korean, so I've been gemming up on my K-pop, because I'm trying to find communities of people who speak Korean. I think tonight, somewhere in a pub called the Red Lion Tavern, there's a German group that are meeting, and I'm maybe going to join them at 10 o'clock tonight. So I'm always looking out for communities in Liverpool that speak different languages.
Okay, so if any of the guys who watch or listen to us, if they know about any of these communities, if they could message us, let us know, or put it in the comments. Okay, because there's lots of groups we have where people practice their language skills, who are English or native English, who are learning a foreign language, or from one group learning another. You don't want that. You need people who it's their native language, isn't it? It's their first language, if you like.
Exactly that.
So they might have lived abroad, they might have bilingual parents, whatever, or they've moved here from another country. Ideally, if they live here, they visit their own country frequently,
100%. Okay. And one of the things that we also say is, are they keeping in touch with that language? Because the language moves at the speed of sound, really, doesn't it? It's always changing. I always say, is it fella? Is it bro? Is it chap? Is it, it's evolving. And so staying close to how that language is evolving, because games are fresh and they are of now. And so actually you're able to be a good localization person, a good translation, if you're in tune with how people speak today, rather than how you were taught grammar at school 20 years ago.
Of course, and appropriate for the game as well. So I could say to you, oh, he's quite a nice chap, isn't he, that guy? Well, in a game, for an 18-year-old to see he's quite a nice chap, that would just be ridiculous, and it's just reflecting,
relevant.
Yeah, exactly, and the type of game as well.
So how did you get into the gaming world?
By a funny route, I would say. So back in the day when I was something at school, I didn't have a clue what I wanted to be. I grew up in Lincolnshire, and so my only reference points were farms and school, and that was about it. There wasn't a lot else going on. So I went off to uni, came up to Preston and studied at the University of Central Lancashire. And I still didn't know what I wanted to be, but I ended up getting into teaching. And then from teaching, I did quite well. I was teaching English to a lot of boys, 11 to 18-year-olds, getting them off to university, setting up rock and roll bands and doing things like that. And I thought, right.
You worked in the music industry, didn't you, as well?
I ended up going to the BBC for...
Good job. No, she's had such an interesting career.
So I'm doing this teaching thing and I'm thinking, what else do I want to do?
Yeah.
I'll go work in media. So I ran away to the circus that was BBC Radio 4, and I was a production assistant and researcher there for a while. And then I got a phone call from the love of my life, and he said, shall we move to Germany? I've just got a job. So like you do when you're young, you go, yeah. So I just disappeared off to Germany.
Gosh.
And I ended up teaching business people English in Germany. Came back to the UK, got into market research, and I was part of one of the first ever online market research focus groups. That's what we did. And it seems laughable now because we've got the camera and we've got sound. But back in the day, this is the year 2000, you would get a group of people in a chat room. You would show them the latest design from Nike or BMW, and they were in Australia and Germany. Go, what do you think of this? And then you'd have to wait for everyone to type and go, I don't like the colour and I don't like this thing. So that was a real eye-opener because that got me into thinking about brands and how people look at marketing and brands. And then from that, I moved to a really large brand management company, and they are called Pentland. And I went to help the HR director, and they are Speedo, Lacoste, Ted Baker, so all these big fashion, sports and outdoor brands. And there I set up a thing called the Design Pool. And this was about getting young designers into all of these brands, but getting designers who perhaps hadn't followed the traditional route. So they hadn't gone to university in Central St. Martin's and all that lot. I was hiring sort of graffiti artists, or I was hiring people who were designing trains and going, oh, you've designed a train, like a locomotive, a train. Could you actually design a trainer? So it was doing things like that. The design pool still exists today. I'm really quite proud of that. Quite a few 100 people have gone through that. And then from there, I was asked to talk, I think it was by Creative England, about how are you getting these designers and where are you finding them? And I was on a stage talking, and I finished this talk, and at the end of it, I connected with somebody, and he at the time was working on the dragons for Harry Potter as part of visual effects.
So cool, honestly.
And they kind of...
Did you go on the Harry Potter set?
Oh,
I didn't.
Go on.
It's okay. So they said, okay, you've been doing this kind of HR people thing, and we think that a lot of people that do HR are quite scary, and you're not so scary, and we need some help, because they were an organisation that were doing great stuff like Harry Potter, but they really had an ambition to get bigger, and they were called Double Negative, DNEG, and they are one of the biggest companies on the planet now doing visual effects. So that was quite a while ago now. I was doing that. It was a very exciting thing. So when you say about games, that visual effects area is very similar to games. So you're creating things and putting them on computers. And through that work, I helped the company grow, and I could see a big gap between what we in industry needed in the digital creative sector and what colleges and schools were teaching. And so I was part of a report that was written for the government called the Next Gen Skills Report. And from that, we said that there were some things that needed to change. So you needed to see more STEAM, you know, your STEM and your arts. You needed to see more of that blending. We needed to see younger people at an earlier age getting into coding. So you may have heard of coding clubs.
Skills, of course.
Lots of coding clubs now.
And then as part of that, we also said that we think that industry could create new apprenticeships and new pathways. So from that, I then got some help, and I wrote a plan to set up what's called the Next Gen Skills Academy. And we did exactly that. I managed to get 100 companies together from across the UK. So some big names like Sony PlayStation, Channel 4 Games, Pinewood Studios, 100 companies, big and little. Yeah, we set that up, and we have been able to provide apprenticeship routes and other pathways for people to get into the sector. From that, I went back to what I call my day job, which is the crudest version is hire, fire, and everything in between. That's a bit of what HR does.
Hang on a minute.
Go on, hello.
Did you do Emma Watson's P45?
No.
No.
That's quite a random question. No,
Harry
darling. Yeah, no, so we were. I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, no, we were doing the visual effects, not the talent, darling.
Not the
We weren't
HR.
doing the talent,
Okay.
So that was on the other side. So we're doing the computer-generated imagery. But good question. All right.
Okay.
So from that Next Gen Skills Academy, setting up new pathways for people to get into the creative digital arts, and business, which included video games. So some of the people that we were then creating apprenticeships for were video games.
Mm-hmm.
From that, I then worked for MacArthur Glen, and you might know them as Cheshire Oaks, if you want to buy.
They've opened a few, haven't they?
Just a few. So I worked for them.
Mm-hmm.
You were very good.
We did. We went to Wagamama.
We did. That's the first Wagamama experience.
Yeah.
How exotic!
Wagamama in Canada.
Awesome.
No, I used to get this. They have them in the
holiday.
States, don't they? I used to go in the States.
So you've got these out-of-town designer outlets,
Yeah.
and that's what I did for a while. And then from there, I ended up down the road in Manchester, and I worked again for a big brand agency. So they have got things like Umbro, the football people, and Lee Cooper, the jeans people. From that, I then went to AO Let's Go, the electrical online retailers based in Bolton. Big shout out to anyone up there in Bolton. And then from AO Let's Go to video games here and in Bedfordshire. And I think there's something about, as we were saying earlier, the nature of what we're doing is quite good fun. The type of people you get to hang around with, it really fills your heart, because actually they're doing something they are absolutely in love with. Yeah. And I always say that this is like your gateway to a career. It
Very
really
much
is.
so.
And a part of that, sorry, I'm just going to grab this thing here, because part of what we were talking about, people and things like this. So on the table when we came in was this. So for the people who are listening on the podcast, I've got a glass full of different flags. So we've got
now you're
the pride, all of the colours of, and basically each flag represents a different diversity, isn't it?
Yeah, and an identity in terms of inclusion. And so that was part of Pride Month, the month of June. And a lot of people celebrated Pride this last weekend as well, didn't they?
Yeah, we had the big Pride. And it's about, for me, you look at, lots of people say, oh, little geeky people in, in the bedroom and they're isolated and this and the other. But when you walk in, so we weren't allowed to look. We've done this as we walked in, but you can feel a dead cool vibe in the building.
Oh, yeah.
And hopefully a lot of love.
Yeah, but it's like,
generally warm.
We just sort of walked in and, it was a nice warm feeling. It wasn't a stuffy office. It's a cool place to be. And everybody fits in, and there'll be a place for everybody, won't there?
That's the whole thing of just come as you are, really just be yourself. And as I say, for some people, trying to conform to work has been a barrier for them. Whereas we're going, you don't need to change yourself profoundly. You just need to be able to come and do a damn good job.
Yeah.
Okay. So are there any specific languages out of that group you're after, or is it just everyone generally?
That's why I'm doing my K-pop, darling. I need Korean, I need Thai, I need German, I need French, Croatian, Greece, Greek, Indonesian Bahasa. If you know any of those, I'd love a few of those.
Wow.
So yes, we have everything on our website. So every day we're hopefully making sure we're touching base with more and more people. As I say, tonight I think I'm going to a pub and joining a load of Germans somewhere.
So you probably have, and this might sound ridiculous, but I'm just checking. Have you approached like job centres locally? They're the obvious things I know, but there are people who moved it, and people from abroad, that's the first place they think they'd want to go to, like a one-stop shop type place. So the jobs are being advertised locally.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. So last week was the big fair at Anfield, which was phenomenal, and that's where I saw those school leavers. It was amazing. On, I want to say, Thursday last week, we were at Birkenhead Job Centre, and we again had, I think, 60 people come through there. So that was awesome.
Okay.
Tomorrow, we're at Liverpool University because there is a refugee job fair that we're going to. And on Thursday, we're at Duke Street at the job centre there as well.
Oh, yeah.
So
We
over
know
the
that.
next, I want to say in the next 6 weeks, we've got something like
Brilliant.
16 different events that we're doing, both here in Liverpool and down in Bedfordshire as well.
So where are you at the university tomorrow? Whereabouts is it?
I knew you were going to ask
Is
me
it
that.
in the, is it Montfort Hall?
No, Dan.
Is
But
it at
we'll-
Liverpool or John Moore?
No, it's Liverpool, and they've
Mhm.
got a special building, and I haven't got the details.
We'll
with me,
do-
but
okay,
where-
that's
we'll
all
find
right.
it.
where
We'll
the
find it. We'll put it
refugee
on.
job
So
fair
if
is.
somebody, okay, so it's all
Tomorrow
right.
is
We're going to
the
share it all.
venues.
You see, we're going to share all of this on the page for people who want to.
So how many people work here now?
We have got 537, and if you'd
Wow.
asked me that on Monday, it was 528. So
Wow.
we have had 9 people arrive in the last 48 hours, which is great.
Unbelievable. And the working hours are different, aren't they?
They're quite
Just a
cool,
bit.
aren't they? Yeah, they're quite cool.
So you're either an early bird or you're
Yeah.
a night owl. That's how I see it. So we start at 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And there's a shift that goes through till 3:30.
Yeah.
Then we have a shift that is 3:30 in the afternoon till 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
And then we do the real night owls,
Ooh.
and that's 5 o'clock through till 1 a.m.
5 p.m. till 1.
Till 1 a.m. So this lot, the lot that started at 3:30, they'll be having their dinner, lunch, whatever you want to call it, at about 9 o'clock tonight. So yeah.
So
we'll have a
where's
little
they
break.
eat? Do you have like a canteen on site or?
Yeah, we can go sit on a beanbag later if you want and play some games, because that's our
Are we
canteen.
getting a tour?
We're allowed to have a play.
You're allowed to
Oh.
look at that bit. Yeah, or we can go sit.
Oh, let's do that.
This is so cool.
Wow.
That's it is a cool vibe though, isn't it? And just such a great opportunity for
I think-
people.
We were talking about before we came on in. You were talking about the people from Brazil who were coming and changing. But I want you to tell them the little story that you told us about that they didn't know there was such a character.
Oh, that yeah. And HR, they're cold people, this, that, and the other. No, I'm a big fat softie.
Yeah.
So yes, when we had the first group that came in 10 weeks ago when we were opening, and it was gorgeous because you've got the international groups of people
Yeah.
from all around the world. And I'm doing this whole thing of konnichiwa because you're from
Oh,
Japan,
yeah.
and they talk
Yeah.
about Japan and where they come from. And then I asked them always, why do you do this? And there was one lady, and she was explaining that she'd grown up playing this game in Sao Paulo.
Yeah.
And as far as she was concerned, she didn't even know there was a princess. And it's only as she got to be an adult and she understood languages and that it was this princess. And so in terms of a purpose, her purpose was, I don't want anyone to not understand the game. And so I was welling up thinking, gosh,
I'd about to do
journey.
don't blink. I didn't like that. Don't
Because
blink.
I was just like, wow, that's
Yeah.
profound. It's not about the money. It's not about actually you're going to let the next generation of young girls identify that there is a hero princess in this game. It's like, rock on.
And
That's what it's about.
a lot of people think everyone speaks English. They absolutely do not. And it's nice for them to play the games in their own language as well. And you were saying before about making sure it makes sense.
Yeah.
You can't just translate something word for word. It doesn't work at all.
It's not a machine.
It just doesn't work. Otherwise, you could use Google for everything. It just doesn't work. I always give examples like, Paper Jam and a photocopier. This company, they printed out all these leaflets all over the world, and it literally said like paper marmalade type of idea, not and there's a lot of that goes on,
Lost in translation.
Yeah, and like spirits for drinks, they put phantoms and ghosts, and you just can't use that software. It needs to be right, especially when the expense that's going into games and things like that.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's jarring, isn't it? And then it's becoming a problem. Yeah.
Are you allowed to tell us your favourite game?
Oh, you took the words out of my mouth. I was going to ask you that.
Took
Yeah.
the words right out.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of them's around my neck.
I know. I didn't notice. That was the first thing that came.
Because Pac-Man then is about being at the seaside. It's about arcade games.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm showing my age and my generation. And then from that, the one I always tell people is that it'd be 1994. I think I am in Preston at University of Central Lancashire, and there is a game called Doom, and we are playing it on the computer, and it's scaring the so-and-sos out of us.
Yeah.
And if you look at it now, you go, but it was a load of
Really?
pixels. But at the time with the lights off, it was the most intense thing
My
going.
favourite game was Grog's Revenge. Was it Grog's Revenge on the Commodore 64? And then, yeah. I loved it. Oh, I thought it was. I was.
Mine was
addicted
Manic
to
Miner
that.
on the ZX Spectrum. And you,
Oh,
Commodore
God,
was
we've
ZX
gone well
Spectrum.
back.
and you used to have to put the tape recorder next to it, and you get to loading 89%, and then somebody would press something on the button.
Oh,
Yeah.
and there were loads of cool stuff like that. And then when my son was young, Crash Bandicoot, which I really
Phil
liked.
stayed up for about 3 weeks
Mhm.
playing Crash Bandicoot with his son Jack because they didn't have a memory card, to save it.
Oh,
And
no.
so you're like,
So
so Crash Bandicoot is like, when it came with, so that's their game.
So basically, the games are here before they go out. So the people who work here, they know what's coming on the scene, but they can't say anything, can they? It's top secret.
Loose lips sink ships. Yes.
Yeah.
And so what do they have to do when they first come in? Because we walked past a room and we went like this. But there was lockers,
It's
wasn't
so
there?
exciting.
Yeah, so the floor in the studio, the bit that's through that wall there, is completely,
Which is soundproofed.
it's completely clean of anything that could record or share or connect to the outside world. So it really is sort of safe and locked, so that all of these games that we're lucky enough that our clients trust us to be able to look after them, it pretty much stays solid, locked in a room, and to the point then that as employees come in to start their shift, they have lockers and they have to put all their bags, their cameras, everything, phones, etc. All of it gets locked away, and only then can they come through the doors.
And that protects them as well, doesn't it? In case.
100%.
You can say no.
And sign everything to say they are not. And even in this building, you've got different rooms for different games, because if you're working on one game, it's not your job to see somebody else's game.
Oh, that's so exciting.
So did they work on one game, or can they have a little choose?
So some of our projects go on for quite a long time, and what you can become is quite expert in that game or in that franchise. And so your knowledge of that game is really valuable. So for some people, they might be on something for several months.
Oh, wow.
For other people, we might have games that come in and they're here just for a few days. So we may have somebody here, I want to say, that's done, so we've been open 10 weeks. So some people in this building have worked on 2 games so far in that 10-week period.
Wow.
Imagine though, right? What you do, you'd just be like that, wouldn't you? And then you go to your mates when it gets released and you'd say, should we play this? And you just pop it, and you'd be like,
the bit I like is that on a lot of games, obviously, it's about customization. They can make it how they want. And so when you walk around, and I know you couldn't look up and you couldn't look at people, but there really is a variety of different people out there. But what you see then on the screen is that they modify the characters into their creation as well. So I just walk around and went, okay, that's great.
I like the hair on that one.
Themselves in the game. It's like, this is all part of testing it. Like, can I modify this? Can I make it customizable? So it's really cool.
They're pushing the boundaries of the games to make it more relevant to them. It's so interesting. Are we allowed to say where the building's located or not?
100%, yes.
Okay.
So we are 2 minutes from Liverpool Line Street. We are in the old Lewis's department store, which is awesome in terms of accessibility. So you've got people who literally walk to work 10 minutes.
Yeah, of course.
You've got people that are coming in through the trains and the buses when they're running. And the other day, a chap that comes in and he does a 15-mile bike ride.
Wow,
good for you. That's brilliant. So he can cycle in on his bike.
And you get them scooters as well, can't you?
Yeah.
Scoot in.
Yeah, I don't think we've got any scooter people coming in. But yeah, no, they could if they wanted to. So no, it's really accessible.
They just lashed it round the corner for someone to have to swerve.
Well, no, it's cool. It's and the actual decor and vibe of this.
Yeah.
The lifts and everything. The decor and vibe of the building is amazing. It's a dead cool.
It's such a fresh in 2022, isn't it?
Yeah, and it was really welcoming. The staff really
welcomed. Good.
No, everybody welcomed us in, which was lovely.
We were greeted with donuts and all kinds of things. And it's good to get into something at the start as well. It's come to the city, so maybe in the future there'll be opportunities. I didn't realise you had so many staff there, over 500, and recruiting more and more and more.
Yeah. I think what you've just said there is part of the appeal for me as well.
Yeah.
In terms of the journey of this company.
Yeah.
We are in rapid growth, but what's exciting is that as we expand, clearly we mature and we scale. And therefore, if you've come in early, you could be part of that maturing. So if we think about careers and opportunities, you can grow with the business.
Well, I used to years ago when I finished, I went to uni to do languages as a mature student, and I carried on studying, and I got a job with US Airways, which is now American Airlines, and it used to be in Silk House Court. And a lot of people who started then sort of went into more senior positions and things like that. So
I think it's cool because years ago when I was sort of like younger, apprenticeships, you were either a hairdresser or a plumber. And now the apprentice opportunities are unbelievable. I mean, we've got an apprentice, Emmett's our apprentice, and he's doing amazing. But to be able to have an apprenticeship in gaming or, tech and you would never ever have thought of that. And as you were saying before, it's the stepping into the world of work where you get a little bit of experience. You've got to turn up, you've got to do this, but you're still in your comfort zone because you're doing something cool. And then the other opportunities, and you look at your career from starting here and going all the way around
all the different
things, but you've still got that sort of like HRE brand underneath, but you've just done it for dead cool people, haven't you?
And I think the common theme is about helping people to reach their potential. So it doesn't matter what sector I've been involved in, it's all about actually do people and the business get to reach their potential, and that's a really cool thing to be part of.
Okay, so say someone's listening or watching or what have you, or they catch it up later on YouTube, etc., or LinkedIn, and they think, oh, my nephew would be up for that, or my niece or my daughter, my granddaughter, whatever, or I would like to do this. How do they get in touch with you guys? I mean, they can message us obviously and we'll pass on details, but say they want to come to you directly.
I would say if they type in the words university speaking and video games, then hopefully you'll land on our website and click on a button saying jobs. And at the moment, I think there are 120 jobs listed as of this afternoon in various different languages.
120 jobs.
I think that's what it was. It was 117 yesterday. I think I made it 120.
In Liverpool?
Not all in Liverpool. A great deal of them are in Liverpool. You can work either in Liverpool or in White Boston. And that White Boston is in Bedfordshire. So if you Google university speaking video games.
All right,
Bedfordshire's getting rich.
I love you.
So there's no,
You just
have you got any
create a list.
cathedrals there? No.
You haven't got a waterfront.
Okay, that's fine.
Do you say lad after everything?
Okay, so there's certainly about.
They haven't got the Beatles either.
No, there's probably about 100 jobs or something here. So they need to go into university speaking, type in or Google
university
that.
speaking, and if you then type video games,
it'll come up straight away. Games. Or message us, just put us,
that'd be great.
DM us and we can forward the details onto you personally, no problem at all.
Amazing.
And so we just get like an email and language, whatever, and you can just contact them that way, can you?
Exactly.
If we get the young person's email, so just send that to us and we can forward that to you.
That'd be awesome.
Very exciting.
So time has wasted because we're like
beside
ourselves on with
this is like,
and now we're going into a gaming room now. So
one of our best gigs.
So
hello.
We do have a format,
and
we've got 9 minutes left, so we're dead serious face now.
I'll behave.
So now we give a shout out to grown-ups. Okay, so any big people who've done amazing things this week. So any grown-ups?
Yeah, definitely. So my shout out is to Jackie. Jackie, who is I don't want to go into too much detail, but she's having chemotherapy. She did absolutely brilliant. So she was in the wheelchair and drummed for nearly 2 hours on Saturday night in the Basilica Parade. And the people of the city who came out were amazing. And everyone was taking photographs, and there were lots of tourists there, and they were just blown away, and they were taking photos. She said, I must be the most photographed person.
It's a cool place.
Yeah, so that was just a massive shout out to her.
So well done to Jackie. Have you got any grown-ups who you'd like to shout out to?
Yeah, but it's all general. So I think that anyone that's working in video games testing right now deserves a shout out. And why now? Well, because a lot of the big titles are going to be launched on Black Friday or Christmas for sales. What that means is that we are now in peak. So anybody right now that's working in video games testing is going through one of the busiest periods ever, as we've got a few months before someone actually wants to release these games. So my big shout out is to anybody, big, little, or in between, who's currently working on video games testing, because this is peak, it's full on, but they're putting their hearts and souls into it, and they're doing a damn fine job. So big shout out to them.
Fantastic.
I'm going to give a shout out to Angela Preston, who's one of our previous guests. Angela's does this coaching program, which is amazing. But she's got a centre on County Road, and has opened it up for people with an addiction who can go, and they can have a cup of tea, and they can have a biscuit, and they can have a chat. And there was an amazing article about a mum who never thought she'd walk down the road sober, and after going there, it's just changed her life around. So massive shout out to Ange. It was amazing. It was just like, it was just a lovely, lovely story. And Ange's
been on our show, Ange.
But she's dead, like, doesn't shout from the rooftops how cool she is. No. So massive shout out to you, Ange. Well done.
Brilliant.
So we do have a red face moment. Any slightly red face things that have happened, people can laugh with you, not at you.
You normally laugh at me. Have you got one to share?
Yeah, probably sharing way too much.
Go on.
So we talked about, was it donuts or cookies? Clearly, I'm a sugar addict. That's not a great thing. But my real red-faced moment in that kind of I reach middle-age moment, I spend a lot of time sat at a computer and sat at a desk. I shove a lot of sugar down my throat. That's not a good thing. Yeah. And I'll confess that when I've been on interviews on the camera for about 8 hours, sometimes the top button gets undone because I'm kind of not feeling great. So my embarrassing thing was then to stand up after 8 hours of interviewing and just walk out into the floor with basically the top button still undone. And I bet they thought, yes, it's like having your embarrassing auntie over at Christmas.
You were too busy playing games, you were all right.
So I was busy coming out and going, I've just finished all those interviews. I'm like, oh my goodness, yes. So
buy these stretchy ones.
And then I don't have to bother with buttons.
No, but then do buy something with a button, which is where I've gone wrong and haven't had something with a button for 2.5 years.
Wow. Yeah. Which probably is a top tip.
Yeah, top tip, buy something with a button.
What about you?
Well, so I nearly had one before, didn't I, in the toilet? But I saved myself.
Do you really want to share this?
Yeah, so I just went in the loo, and then a girl came and she went, right. Like that. I'm just on my break, and I was about to start having a conversation with her, and then realised she was on her phone.
You were joining in.
I started to go, yeah, you're right, and then I thought, I don't recognise that voice.
That's taking that friendliness a bit too far.
Yeah, and I thought, oh, well done for stopping yourself there. What about you?
No, I normally upload, but I don't think I have this.
I think there's a bit to do.
Oh yeah, that was bad. I forgot about that.
We won't talk about that on air.
The Amish doll. He said, what don't Amish doll, Amish or Amish dolls have? And so I made a couple of suggestions and he said no, so I made a third suggestion and it wasn't that at all. It was a face.
It was a face. They don't have faces.
Oh really?
No. Yeah. So they never dated.
Okay, right. Okay, cool.
That's not the embarrassing. That
every
was
day's
bad.
A school day.
It is
something.
Exactly.
Oh, our life's like that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I forgot about
what else do we do? Red face. Shout out to the grown-ups. Positive challenge.
Oh yeah, I didn't message this to you. I forgot to say this. So a positive challenge can be anything. So we've had smile at a stranger, and we set this up in lockdown, and it was all about good people doing stuff in our area, local people and opportunities and things. And one of the things we talked about was knocking on your neighbour to check they're all right, knock on your neighbour's door. So there's all different types of stuff, isn't there? Maybe meditate for all different things.
Could be something to do with the world of gaming. A positive, something that.
Are you calling it a positive challenge?
Yeah.
Or is it kind of payback? As in you're giving something back?
No, whatever you
want,
whatever you think is a good thing for people to do in society.
So I think, and this is where I get on my soapbox, I think sometimes we celebrate conflict too much. And particularly if you look at what gets a lot of views on social media, it's normally when someone's falling out with someone, someone's smashing up a car, someone's getting kicked off an aeroplane because they're screaming their head off at someone. And so that sense of actually we are meant to get on with each other, I think is pretty important.
Yeah.
So my thing in that space is I'm really lucky that I live next to some wonderful people in Derbyshire, and I will look after their little kids, and then they will bake me cakes, and they've just gone on holiday for a week in Scotland, and she's left all the tomato plants for me to water, but also then to feed us. And it's not, aren't we clever? It's just
checking out
how simple and pure that rather than being in conflict, we're kind of working together on things, and that to me I think is really profound.
Oh, 100%.
Really?
100%. Just be kind.
Yeah.
I wanted to give another shout out, sorry, to an adult. It's just come to me now. I know I've run out the format. Okay. So I've got someone who I know from uni. called Abby, who lives over the water, and I've been doing some voluntary work teaching English with Ukrainian people for the Big Help Project over here. She's been doing something with Whittle Change, teaching voluntary as well, teaching English to Ukrainian people, and they're having a big celebration day. So I've shared it, and I'm going to share it again near the time. It's towards the end of August. So shout out to her, because she's quite passionate about supporting the refugees and that. And they've had a torrid time, these people, they really have. So
well done, Abby.
Shout out to Abby.
And everybody, we're nearly, we've got,
oh God,
we're on fire.
1 minute, sorry.
We've got like 44 seconds or something like that for you to close the show with your mantra that you live by.
Okay. I'm very lucky to have witnessed this, so it is true. It's not just some hairy-fairy thing. Ordinary people can do extraordinary things.
Yeah.
And you have to remind yourself that extraordinary things get done by ordinary people. So things that you couldn't imagine can get done, and you just have to put your back into it. And that'd be my thing.
And
do not underestimate a human being.
100%. That's what our show is. Just everyday people
about.
Doing amazing, cool things in the city.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for having us. And we're just gonna say thank you to everybody for listening. Please share it. Please tag Universally Speaking. If you know anybody who wants to work in a cool place, doing dead cool things, ask to sign an NDA.
Yeah, an absolute dream job for someone. It really
get in touch, and we'll pass the details over to Vic. So massive thank you again, and we'll see everybody next week.
Brilliant.
So we can say adios.